So in today's episode of Dead Card Game Reviews, I'm going to be talking about the Scooby-Doo Expandable card game. It only had two sets, one in 2000 and another in 2001. The first set focused on the first season of Where Are You? And the second set was the Alien expansion, and it focused on the Alien Invaders direct-to-video movie and a few episodes of Where Are You that had monsters that were aliens. So, starting off with the rules, each player has a Mystery Inc. team whose total bravery value does not exceed 10. So you can... They made a couple extra characters in the second set because they were gonna keep adding more Mystery Inc. members, but never ended up finishing that out. So they had to make a rule to you can change the members of the original Mystery Inc. team, but their bravery value can't go over 10. Each player needs a clue deck of 15 clue cards, and then each player's main deck is 60 cards. The number of copies of a specific named card in the deck that you're allowed to have are 2. So play sets of cards are just 2 in this game. And when constructing a deck must contain a minimum of at least 3 cards of each type. And the card types are friend, villain, item, event, and location. And locations have 3 subtypes: master, major, and minor, which we'll get into a little later in the rules, what the importance of those subtypes are. So to start the game, each player will shuffle their clue deck and draw 1 mystery card that they keep hidden from their opponent, and then the remaining 14 clue cards are given to their opponent. The first player to guess their opponent's mystery card is the winner. So turns are separated into Mystery Inc. and Villain turns. So each turn one player will be Mystery Inc. and the other player will be Villains, and it'll alternate. Basically, on your turn, you're playing as Mystery Inc., and on your opponent's turn, you're playing as the Villains. So you can play 1 location a turn, and it's usually going to be a master or major location. It's basically like a land drop in Magic. You just get to play 1 at any point on your turn. It doesn't have to be the first thing you do. Mystery Inc. members and friends have a negative bravery value to lower the fright level of locations to 0. It's kind of like Smash Up, you'll see. You want to play friends on your own locations, and Mystery Inc. members can only move to your own locations. Villain cards have a fright value that raises the fright value of a location to make it harder to investigate. You want to play villains on your opponent's locations and raise the fright level of those. If the Mystery Inc. player, the turn player, ends their turn with a location's fright level at 0 or less, they solve that location, turn it sideways, and draw a number of clue cards from their opponent's clue deck, the one that was handed to them, and then they are allowed to make a guess at what their opponent's mystery card is. If they're right, they win. If they're wrong, their opponent is allowed to draw a clue card from the clue deck that they gave to them. But they aren't allowed to make a guess. You only get to make a guess if you're the one who solved a location. So basically, the mystery card is guessed by process of elimination. You have a checklist to mark off what ones you've seen to narrow it down, because there's a total of 15, and then there's 14 possibly that you can see. You'll never see that last one until you guess it, and then your opponent reveals it. So you check off the list, and the more you check off, the lower the range of cards you have to guess, the lower the pool of cards you have to guess from. So you're able to make better guesses based off what's left. So, as I said, solved locations are turned 90 degrees, and then all cards played there, except for Mystery Inc. cards, are discarded. So, like, all friends, all villains, all items, all just go to the discard pile when a location gets solved. A minor location can only be played on a solved master or major location. There's no other way to play them. And they can't go on the master or major location until that location is already solved. You can have 2 copies of the same location in play, but each solved master or major location can only have 1 minor location attached to it at a time. Master locations give 1 clue card, major locations give 2 clue cards, and minor locations give 3 clue cards. Mystery Inc. can move once per turn during your turn, and they don't all have to go to the same location, and they can even move to a location that has already been solved. Each player has a default location on their board. There's no card that represents it. It's just like an area that you just kind of know that both players have. It's called the Malt Shop, and that's where Mystery Inc. starts, and it is always a viable location where Mystery Inc. can move to. If a card ever gets flickered, like removed from the game, and then comes back in, it always re-enters at the Malt Shop. But there's only 1 card that ever did that, and it like removes Scooby-Doo for the turn, and then he comes back, and it didn't say where he came back in. You're just supposed to know that cards that flicker come back in at the Malt Shop. The player who goes first starts with 10 Scooby Snacks, and their opponent gets 7. Scooby Snacks are basically your mana in this game, so cards have a Scooby Snack cost to play them. At the start of your turn, meaning your Mystery Inc. turn, your snacks will return to 10. So if you have more than 10, they'll go down to 10. If you have less than 10, they'll go up to 10. You'll always just go right back to 10 on your Mystery Inc. turn. During your opponent's turn, which would be your villain turn, you just have the Scooby Snacks that you have left over from your turn. The opening hand is 8 cards. If a player has no locations in their starting hand, they are allowed to reveal their hand and make a mulligan, where they shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 8 new cards. And then each time they do this, their opponent is allowed to draw an additional card for their starting hand. So basically the Pokemon mulligan. However, they didn't specify no major or master locations. So as far as the rules are concerned, if you have a minor location in your hand, you can't mulligan because you have a location, but you can't play a minor location because you can't just play those without attaching them to a solved master or major location. So I would say if you're going to play this, mulligan if you have no master or major locations in your hand. I would say that should be the rule. They also didn't say what happens if both players mulligan, because in Pokemon, if both players mulligan, neither player draws an additional card. It's a free mulligan. I think that should apply here as well, since they kind of were basing it off of that mulligan rule. I think that's kind of what they were going for. At the end of every turn, both players can discard any number of cards from their hand, then they both draw back up to 8. So you'll draw up to 8 even during your opponent's turn. If you have 8 or more cards in your hand and don't discard anything, you just won't draw. You don't have to discard down to 8. So like you can have 10 cards in your hand and then just pass and keep those 10 cards. And since you're drawing so many cards constantly in this game, if a player decks out, they just shuffle their discard pile, form a new deck, and keep playing. The only way to win in this game is by guessing the opponent's mystery card. So another game with no alternate win conditions at all. Getting into the mechanics. The Mystery Inc. player has priority and gets to play a card first. After it resolves, their opponent may play a card. So there's no responding. You don't get to there's no stack or chaining. You don't get to hop in before your opponent's card resolves. Like, they play a card, it fully resolves, then you're allowed to play a card. The only exception are cards that say negate. Those can respond, so it's kind of Dragon Ball Super rules, where negates are the only thing that can actually respond. Similar to Smash Up, you're trying to get the bravery level of all your Mystery, Ink, and Friend cards equal to or greater than the fright level of the location, so it's kind of like breaking a base in Smash Up. Effects can move cards to other locations. Effects can increase or decrease bravery and fright level. When modifying bravery, you ignore the negative sign and add and subtract as if it were a positive number. I kind of don't like that they put a negative symbol on the bravery numbers. I think they should have just used the word bravery and fright to differentiate them rather than minus and plus. But I guess it's a children's game and they wanted them to know that bravery was getting minused and fright was getting added, but it does make modifying them a little confusing because you see the negative number and you're like, well, subtracting it would make it bigger because it's subtracting it would go more negative, and then it's like, no, subtracting it actually just makes it go closer to zero for some reason. The lowest the number can go is 0. You can't turn a fright level into bravery by making it go below 0. And vice versa. Effects can change bravery into fright level, and effects can change fright level into bravery, but only if like specifically stated as such. Monsters can be captured, which means they're destroyed, so you'll see effects like capture a monster, and it's basically like destroy target creature. Card effects can move monsters and friends. Each Mystery Inc. member has a once per game effect. They use colorful text, like colorful rules text for some of the effects, and it requires a little like clarification. They did have a Q&A for the second set. There was like a rule thing that came with it to clear up some things. It's a little weird. Some cards have the keyword darkness, which doesn't do anything on its own, but it denotes a powerful effect, and some effects will refer to darkness cards. Effects can make your opponent put clue cards back into the clue deck, making it harder for them to guess your mystery card, because they'll just redraw clues that they've already seen and won't get any new information. Effects can draw cards like all TCGs. Effects can let you draw additional clue cards when solving a location or on an opponent's wrong guess. The RNG of the mystery card makes the game a little too luck-based. I've had games end in 2 turns off a wild guess, and games last 20 plus turns just because of wrong guesses. So this means that you can build a really good deck, but if you guess wrong, it doesn't matter. So like an aggro deck, where you're guessing by like turn 5, if you're guessing wrong, it doesn't matter that you're playing an aggro deck. And then like a mid-range deck could make their first guess on like turn 7 or 8 and guess right, and mid-range beats aggro off of pure luck. So card layout. I think the cards have a good layout. I don't know what else to say about it. It's this typical TCG layout, title of the card at the top, artwork. They did put like the cost and the fright and bravery levels on the left side of the card, which is a little different for most games, but I don't think it detracts in any way. The card types are easily identifiable by their frames, so each card type has a color associated with it, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! So like event cards are yellow, friends are blue, villains are like this blackish purple. Items are red. It's really easy to tell them all apart. The Scooby Snack cost is easy to see. On the left side it says Scooby Snack over the number, so you know exactly what it is. Fright and bravery numbers are easy to see. Again, fright numbers have a plus sign, bravery numbers have a minus sign, but that's just to remind you that they get added or subtracted from the location. Those numbers aren't actually, the bravery numbers aren't actually negative when modifying them, which is a little weird. Still, like, it took a little getting used to. Text boxes are big and easy to read. And the only problem with the rules text is that it's written in Comic Sans. I don't know whose decision that was, but maybe, I guess, in 2000, Comic Sans was pretty cool, because I know I used to use it a lot. As far as artwork goes, the Mystery Inc. cards are the only cards with original art. Every other card is a screenshot from the show, specifically Where Are You or the Alien Invaders movie. Clue cards are just screenshots of title cards from various episodes. So they picked 15 episodes to make title cards of. They said maybe at some point they were going to add new clue cards, but for the foreseeable future they weren't going to, which makes sense because they would have to make a whole new checklist. Because you're again narrowing it down based off of what you've already seen. If people can customize that deck, then it's like, well, now the card pool's bigger and some stuff might not even be here, so like, who knows. Okay, so in conclusion, it's a fun game, if a bit too RNG heavy for true competitive play. It's kind of draftable. I made a cube that I've played once. So as far as like playing a cube draft with it, I would say you can either treat locations like lands and let everyone have access to whatever locations they want while deck building after drafting a bunch of cards, or you can do what I did, which was create location packs, where I just put together like, I think 12 location cards, and they were like full sets of like a master location, major location, and minor location that were all like linked together. Because like minor locations have to go on a specific major or master location. I didn't clarify that. They can't just go on any master or major location. They have to go on a specific one, and they'll say on the card which one they have to be played on. So I made those. It's kind of like if you're playing the build and battle Pokemon draft things where they have like that 25 card pack that's separate from the 3 draft booster packs, that you just keep those 25 cards, and there's like full evolution lines for a couple Pokemon in there, and then you can draft the other 3 packs and then like add to that 25 card pack. But yeah, if you like Scooby-Doo, I'd say it's worth giving it a try. I have a video on a control deck I made that makes your opponents keep drawing the same clues over and over again, so they never see new ones. Or at least that's the idea behind it. Doesn't always work. I also put this entire game on Tabletop Simulator, since it only had 2 sets. It wasn't too hard to put every card in there. So if you have Tabletop Simulator, you might want to check it out. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.